Welcome back. We're here to do the super chats. They are scheduled, so if you do want to join any of the super chats, you can find them on the main page on YouTube. Now, I haven't added an extra notification linking to it or how you go about getting a super chat. The one thing is you can look directly below the box and it's got the information on how to pay, what it is, and what you get with your super chats. So if you want to still be jumping onto the list, you can get it directly below. For those of you that don't know, I'm a psychic medium, an intuitive astrologer, and clairvoyant. And if you do need a booking, you can go to the link below. Separately, if you want to sign up to our Sage Inner Circle network, we do have a landing page. At the moment, it's getting your name on the list so that as soon as that is open, you get to be notified. So you can go to the landing page and sign up. Otherwise, I'll quickly put you in the waiting room and the list will be above. If anything's incorrect, you can PM us through the chat box. Otherwise, we'll be into the super chats very soon. Okay, we're going to get into it. I'm sure you guys don't want to be here till midnight. We will get the audio off and we will get me up on screen. Okay. And I'm like, should I turn the light on? I might. I have a backlight which I need to replace in typical Mercury retrograde style. And part of the issue is the lighting is a bit problematic, but I ain't gonna buy it during a Mercury retrograde. That's just where I'm at. How about you? I'll get the chat on the screen. Very fatigued. How are you guys going? I know, right? I was going to put a separate notification up, which I'm trying to, where my energy permits, update. But I know that if I do too many notifications on the day, that you guys basically won't get a notification unless you click the bell. If you're following, if you're subscribing. Separately, for a while there, I was actually offering notifications via the website. However, double handling, it's really about you guys empowering yourselves and going, hey, who do I want to be subscribed to? I know I've definitely been going through a lot of the feeds, a lot of things, and going, what do I resonate with? What do I not? The other thing is with Uranus and Gemini, we can be very split. And I think we need to be somewhere in the middle to be safe. It's a bit like observing a painting. I mean, we did I Spy last night, and honestly, we were all quite baffled because if you're too close to the painting, you're just simply not going to see what's right in front of you. So, that can be a notion we're going through at the moment. Plus, we're going into the new moon in Cancer, and a lot of people are framing it in a very positive way. I do think it all does come down to where it's positioned for you. I do think we are going to be having resolve with situations, but I also feel we need to understand the difficulty with our emotions and how we might be processing those things. So, not necessarily is it all going to be, as my sister says, Barney's, dolphins, and starfish. We do need to get the context of it, the retrograde cycle, and probably observing more than speaking, being Mercury in its retrograde. What exact date does it go direct? So we have the new moon on the 14th. It's at 21 degrees. Try and find the midway point of that. Mercury will not go station direct until July the 23rd. So it's a bit of a frustrating portal, but there is going to be movement, there is going to be change, and we're reflecting about old things, dealing with old things. And even when we do look at the degree point of the other positions in astrology, it is all linking back to Cancer, so home, safety, emotion. So it could directly be that our position and our viewpoint on particular things can be tribe and pack mentality. It also could be that we're having revelations about where we feel safe and where we don't. But I do feel for some of us, we are going to be starting to have a frequency where we feel we need to start getting things done. We need to start changing certain things. For some of you, it could have been that you've been very busy cleaning your house, or emotionally maybe having ups and downs and having some very old things come up. Looking at your home environment, looking at your family dynamics. Could be mother, it might be how you nurture yourself and ask for help and be there and heal, especially because we are going to be going into eclipse season. We can be feeling like this is the new year, the pressure's on, we want to make some New Year's resolutions. And for some of us, we might not be able to, we might not be feeling super optimistic at the moment, and it's not that that vibration's going to continue. It is going to change, and for many people, we do have that very skeptical energy that we're feeling that nothing is changing, and I want to reassure you things are changing, in both ways, for good and bad. Regardless, it is changing. We are going to be seeing that between this month and next month and beyond for the next 6 months. Now, we do currently have Neptune retrograde. There was a beautiful astrologer I watched on YouTube, and he gave his viewpoint on it, which was something really, especially in the House of Aries. We may be realizing that we had hunches, we had intuition, we had feelings, we maybe made ourselves small in particular ways, or we thought we were taking responsibilities And, you know, with both Neptune and Saturn moving retrograde this month, I don't necessarily feel it's a negative thing that they're retrograding. I think it's an opportunity between now and the end of the year to do the legwork, to be very intentional, but to have a clear plan. And I think that's what these transits are really going to give us. They're going to help us question, okay, what is the dream? Where am I being delusional? Where am I being realistic? Where are people being transparent with me? Where are they not being transparent with me? What is your intuition telling you? Is it paranoia? Is it intuition you're going to be seeing? I do think it's very helpful that we have had Mercury retrograde, because it showed us some of the wounds of the past. It's showed us how we have created behavioral patterns, again, pack mentality, etc., to cope with circumstances. And, you know, it's not that we won't need people, we will need people. But it's about being very, and you've probably seen this also on social media, you're being very observant and you're seeing things that maybe were under your nose before, but you just didn't notice. So that resonance of circumstances, it's almost like it's becoming very, very clear, or maybe it's always been there, but you're just noticing it now. So in one breath, this individual was stating that Neptune retrograde has always been there. You've always seen these things, but you just didn't listen and honor it. So it could have been that you were actually having some intuitive hits in the Aries area of your chart, but you directly were maybe ignoring it, or you didn't feel it was the correct time to address it, or you were fearing you were going to have to address it. In the other area, it can be that, yes, in fact, you have the light bulb moment and the dots are actually linked during Neptune's retrograde, which did go retrograde, I believe, was it the 7th? It shifted station retrograde. So 7th, correct. So, you know, and again, at 4 degrees, Uranus at 4 degrees. What was the other one? I think it was... so we have Uranus 4 degrees, Neptune 4 degrees, Pluto 4 degrees, making aspects to each other, might I add. And Saturn's at 14, which is interesting. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on some of the transit updates. And I want you to keep an eye on Saturn at the 14th degree, where it comes to the new moon. And we'll get into that a little bit later, especially as it retrogrades. It's going to be moving between the 7 and 8 degree. So we're going backwards to go forwards. We can be reworking structures. So we'll get the dates where it was sitting there previously, which I do think are going to have some connotation to it. So effectively, the back work, the background work, the footings, very Pluto in nature, we're resurrecting footings and redoing things, finding little pearls of gems, maybe linking the dots together, things slowing down enough that we can build effectively. And I do think that this is about, okay, we need to move forward. We need to move forward with systems, with structures. We could be reviewing these things that were working, things that weren't working. And emotionally, I do think, because we had Chiron and Aries, this is a big test for us. We've been over this ground before, so you're going to be more inclined to deal with it. You have the tools to do that, but it's about stepping back from the painting and viewing in. You might also find that you've had spikes in your nervous system, like getting super anxiety energy all of a sudden, or really maybe turning off particular foods. This could be all the way down to your body system changing, how you're digesting food is changing. I've noticed for me, like, I love my caffeine, and not so much caffeine. I like coffee. I've always been a coffee drinker. Do I drink tea? Yeah, but I have been drinking more tea, more fluid, more clear fluid. So you might find that you've been drinking things to soothe the gut, to calm your energy. You may have had to have breathed through certain circumstances so that you could calm your frequency because of anxiety, and it may have come out of nowhere. The other thing is the heart chakra is being activated, and we have the true node moving this month and the mean node moving next month. So it's bringing in that eclipse cycle already, a bit like a shadow effect. So the key subjects to do with the eclipses and what the subject matter is going to be. Those things are going to be transforming. Those things are going to be showing that their shadow energy. So the eclipse is going to be in Pisces and it's going to be in Leo. Plus, we're having this Aquarius moon at the end of the month. So I do think that one is one to really watch out for, even though we can have a little bit of challenges coming through with the Cancer new moon. But again, I don't think it's anything to fear. I think it's about just moving through that birthing canal. We are having a rebirth with the circumstance, and we are looking to new ways of actually growing. We're probably feeling different, okay? For some of you, it could have been that you felt a super high vibe all of a sudden. There's been a lot of talk about CERN. There's been a lot of talk about vibrational shifts, how our a connection to social media is also changing and what we're doing with those things. But I do think we are moving through an energy upgrade. We are moving through a timeline jump in a sense, and feeling almost like we are starting to get back on track to where we wanted to be. Even though you might not completely see it, it's going to be a sense that you're going to be having in your intuitive body. It's like either a drive to, like needing to get some sense of clarity or order. For some of you, it could be that you're pausing and you're like, oh, I don't really know if I want to react to a circumstance right now. I think I want to pause and let the person show their card. So it could be that for some of us also. Yes, what did you say? Linda Yates. Yeah, as fast as the new guy came in, I found out he was a scammer. Yeah, I think, and I have said this from the beginning of the year and last year, we really need the nodes to move out of Pisces. These are about old storylines, closing out old timelines. So, you know, you will find, and it does depend on your zodiac, but yet again, I feel the new chapter comes after this, because we're going from the 12th energy, the Piscean energy, like a clock, and the pumpkin, and the clock striking 12 over into Aries, and the nodes shifting. So it is really changing. You know, our alliances are going to change. Our hopes, goals, and aspirations are going to change. Our friendship groups are going to change. And we'll have Pluto there, we'll have the North Node there, and we're going to have Jupiter and Leo. So we've got to be really careful of ego. We do need to have the heart center. We will be more creative, and there's going to be a lot of innovation that comes through this time. And innovation does not have to be technology. Simple things that were created, you know, during, say, Neptune and Aries were, you know, the camera. There were other things that were invented, like the toilet roll holder. So it doesn't have to be something technical or digital, but you are going to be in your own personal life finding ways to actually transform that, transform an area of your life. And effectively, we have been born at this time for a reason. So try and have faith in that, even though it could be a bit hard. We're going to get into the super chats, and they will be closing after I finish Tracy. So if you do want to add yourself to that list, because I do have quite a bit to do today with limited energy. So if you do want to jump on the list, the information is below in the video box. So yes, future tense. Would I like to be doing new moon, full moon, etc., and astrology updates? Yes, there has been some personal things in the background I've been dealing with. Is that in the mix? Hopefully. We shall see. Okay, Tracy, do you have a particular question? I'm just going to have a quick drink. Good old scammers, eh? Yeah, look out for those texts at the moment, you know, cybersecurity text, cross wires, sending emails you shouldn't. I'm doing a lot of tests at the moment. No particular question. You know me. Do I? It's Neptune and Aries. Yeah, so I mean, I do regularly do these within the members. You know, when we're there, it might be okay. I have some energy. We're going to jump in. I've had a notion. I'll chime in daily with them. But as to restructuring, we all collectively are doing that. We're looking at the Virgo Pisces axis, our health, and going with the flow. We're probably pretty over just going with the flow and feeling like we're not getting anywhere. And is there going to be a reprieve? There is. You know, it's hard being someone that understands the astrology and then separately living a personal experience myself. And it's like I've got to be the parent to myself and go, well, Yildiz, you know, things are transitioning. Yes, this is deeply frustrating for all individuals, but things are transitioning. So, you know, it's just about being very patient, but I think we're quite spent. We're quite spent. We're quite exhausted, frustrated, maybe disillusioned. So, what is the retrograde good for? Review, reflection, reinvention, resurrection, revelation, any R's, the right way. That's a bit like you know, the right tools, the right way. I'm over the flow. Well, you're Aries, love, but you know, it's going to help slow things down so that you don't feel like the world's coming at you, you know, because you're like, oh my God, you know, it's all too much. And, you know, this is Saturn going retrograde and Neptune is going to help you get into, you're going to be you're going to get very practical. You know, food, water, shelter, very practical, but things are going to slow down enough to have revelations about yourself as well as other people. So this is where you are. Lots of things probably with your family. This could be home, emotions, childhood. This is passing. We are moving out of these energies, but we are processing these energies currently. So on your axis, you still have planets over your 12th house. So it is very psychological, okay? And so you're like, is this ever going to give up? Is this going to let up? How can it play out? Paranoia, having enemies, feeling there's somebody out to get you, feeling we're our own worst enemy, wanting to go into hermit mode, sixth senses. And you know, the problem is you're going to need to, until we can move through this eclipse, which I highly recommend to you, is to be very intentional about what you let into your auric field. You could, if you feel your vibe changes, what I would do is go, you know, especially if you've been around an environment that feels very overstimulating, go home, have a shower or smudge your head, take a breather, have some clear fluids or a cup of tea, and just be for a minute to unpack and digest and leave the trash at the door, right? We are moving through this. It is going to be a liberating point for you. It's going to be like a rebirth. So it's almost like, oh my God, I'm the full card in Tarot. I'm going to be jumping off the ledge. And Jupiter is going to be coming through here, bringing you these new chapters. Now, where that's going to fall is your creativity, connections with your children, changes with these individuals, changes with romance. Yes, there could be, you know, trying to keep these situations on the up and up, because it is going to be the South Node, but it's going to be Jupiter. But where the moon is going to fall for you is around your family. So it's you nurturing yourself. Nurture. It's a little bit like the Cancer Leo kind of subject matters. So it's caring for yourself, having nice things. Your nutrition and your diet's going to be going through an evolution and change. It's going to be bringing up new chapters you wish to envision for yourself. And, you know, you could be feeling like you're walking on a tightrope and getting nowhere right now. The areas where you're going to have a new chapter is going to be in your fourth house of feeling connected, feeling like you're in a family, but feeling like you are safe, but it's okay to change and grow. So that can feel very anxious, even though it might be that you feel that these stress points, something does have to give, and something is changing. It is the rebirth for you. Now, as to connections, you may feel like all your connections are in the past, and it's like, could that be so? Not necessarily. I do think you are evolving radically, and I really, really ask of you to move through the next 2 months portal and then to come back to your belief systems, because I do think you're moving into a brand new chapter. And so some of the things you've been dealing with has linked back all the way to 2012, and where you are right now is a new chapter. So basing your new reality on what it's going to be is like the fool card into row jumping off a cliff and knowing everything it had in the past, but not what it's got in the future. So try to not think, oh my God, it's all going to be doom and gloom. Now, could you want to pull certain things down with the tower? I think it's more, you could feel that, like I said, you've got to get to the other side in order to see it. It's a little bit like nothing ventured, nothing gained, and I don't think this is a choice. I think it's where we're going. But for you, it can be like, oh shit, what's around the corner? Do you get what I'm saying? And it is changing. It is changing. There's lots of changes, but at the moment, the good thing is we're getting bored with what it is. Okay, you're getting bored with what it is, but it's not that you're not going to be using everything that you have experienced in the past. They were tools for you, they're tools for you coming ahead. And it's going to make sense, even though right now you might not feel it makes sense right now. Have the courage and have the excitement. You are going to be really almost having revelations that not only do you want connections, that you want, inspiration and motivation, but I'm hearing the term reciprocity, and it feels like you are desiring to have, I wouldn't say something just to hope for. This can also be like hobbies and creativity. And so the seed that's being planted after we do this trauma healing and we move into this new chapter and the nodes shift, the beautiful thing is you might go through these absolute fads, which I've already been having a bit of an experience of with some of the transits I had, and especially for Libras collectively, which that's your shadow sign. You can all of a sudden go down a rabbit hole a little bit like Gemini and tap into a hobby, and it can be accidentally. It might be you want to restore furniture, so you go down the rabbit hole of doing that. Then it could be you're getting very interested in and obsessive in one particular area, but there is an expansion of this area. Also, what I'm getting is don't underestimate how relationships transcend. Sometimes what we can be saying to ourselves is pushing things into compartments, and you could really be thinking, well, hey, I need to protect mine and my own. Maybe the only relationships I'm going to have are flings or just like, I can't say players because that's not what I'm getting. I'm getting like flirtations or romance or, just, you know what I mean? And it's not, it's about looking at the spiritual reason why that's not necessarily how it's just going to be permanently. But it's the seeding point of any connection is a first step. And so they're asking you in your heart chakra and your courage to move into acceptance of you as a soul, not you as a package, and to be open to the experiences that universe is bringing you. Because I'm really not seeing that you are not going to be in a relationship. I'm seeing more. There could be a bit of resistance at the moment and a non-awareness that this is going to change for you. So the change can be how you can bind together, how you can be individual. You're not going to have to be exactly the same as your partner, and that you can have sort of like your own individual identities as well as, this is what it's going to cause you to change. If you're feeling stuck, those situations coming towards you is for that reason. They're going to show you that not every romantic story is going to just end the same as the other. It's actually going to be very different on this occasion. So it's quite positive. And I do think the nodes moving out of Pisces is going to be for us collectively, even though it feels sad. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay, so who is somebody has been experiencing headaches in the crowd. Not that I don't, but psychically I generally pick it up. Who's got the headache? I tell you. Yeah, you'll just turn the light on. Great during a headache. Cosmic journey, romance, love, connections. Cool. You got the headache. Okay. Get out of your head. Okay. Mercury. Okay. Mercury, the tension. You might need to do breathing exercises, shake the energy out. You can do tapping on the third eye. If you can't see what's coming, universe is going to be sending you numbers at the moment, and it's almost very sarcastic. I tell you, it's really sarcastic. Whenever I get the numbers, which are just, it's the numbers only come to me when I am not listening to my intuition. I'm like, okay. Now, when you're new at it and you're looking completely outside yourself, you're going to see them constantly. When you are integrated and you understand them, it's going to criticize you. It's going to be like, you know this. And so lean into it. If it resonates, you'll see the numbers, lean into it and go, okay, I need to be in this space. I need to be operating in this way. It's so frustrating. But yeah, they've been mocking me lately. You know. So whatever circumstance has been handed to us on a ship plate, it is there for a reason. It is. It's not to punish you. Mercury. Okay, you've got the Mercury energy as well, cosmic journey. Have you been experiencing communication styles and experiences that are kind of rippling through your aura where you're wanting to respond in different ways that you never had? This onion peel is like an egg cracking and it's opening up and it could turn into verbal diarrhea. So is that good or bad? It's neither or. It's a new experience you're going through, but it's really, it could be opening up some very raw areas of your life. I was really thinking about the 1st and the 7th house, which for Virgo and Pisces, both of you are moving through that experience. We can look to our sun, moon, and ascendant, e.g. rising as well. And what you tend to find is you're going to be going through this, easy 3 times. So for me, this nodal cycle, it's going to be my 3rd time. And I'm like, really? Do I have to? And it's a hard one. It is a hard one. So I'm open to it. And, what piece of advice could I give? And it's probably a little bit late in the piece, but you've probably noticed this happening in your life. Self-expression, right? Virgo is the energy of communication. It's a Mercury energy. It's the higher heart chakra of Chiron. We had Chiron and Aries. We also, and you've got the Mercury card, and this is the reason I'm referencing it. Okay, self-expression. And it's a 5, which is pretty hard. So when you have your zodiac sign in the nodes, if you were a Pisces, for instance, it's you. It's almost like it is it's a horrible experience if it's the swapped, okay? Be it a nodal reversal, a nodal return, or you're a Pisces and the south node's in your love zone and your contract zone, or it's vice versa. It is a difficult but appreciated experience to live through, and you will understand, I would say, by September. And that means you have done a lot of this leg work, so to speak. Do you feel that right now? Oh, no. The very end of that cycle for me was probably where the largest purgatory experience came from, but because I had the self-awareness, how it showed up prior to the nodes ingressing for me was revelations where I had left myself behind and where I was self-identifying with other individuals. Obviously, say, for example, on the Libra axis, Libras were pronoun, all about appeasing other people, seeing the other person's side, finding the balance and harmony. And it doesn't matter what zodiac sign it is. It's an experience we go through with these positions. So for you, you may have had revelations about hobbies you missed, about the old version of who you were, the dream that you wanted with particular individuals, the life that you thought you were going to live, and how it had both formed you and lost you. And so through that transition of the nodes, it's almost like it calls you to focus on yourself, even if you don't want to. It's something we're not used to. So it can show patterns and habits of us focusing only on others, patterns and habits of trying to create the right ecosystem, especially because the South Node's in Virgo. And this is going to resonate to all of us. We're all culprits of this. Now, how are you going to have that reprieve? You could see what part you had in your money matters, your love matters, your body, your health, your relationships with all your connections, and what part was theirs, and what you thought it was and what it was. But this is a rebirth, and in order to have a rebirth, it means that we need to have summed it up. It's going to happen, be it we want it or not. And it is a clearing of the old. And like the lotus flower coming out of the muddy waters, Chiron, you are going to have this reconnection to the world and yourself. So in assimilation, all of the things you've gone through from 2012 to now, because it's quite big for your zodiac signs, Virgo and Pisces, you are disheartened, okay? Disillusioned, disheartened, can't see the hay for the clouds. It's a perfectly normal place to be. At times you might find you're needing to go with the flow and you're just going to let shit go. At other times you want to micromanage it and you want to pull it down and psychoanalyze and dissect every element of what a person says, what a person does, and what that means. And sometimes you're going to look at it going, it's not my responsibility to be responsible for another person's path. I can't control what they're doing, right? Responsibilities. Whose is what? Circle of concern. If this was you, no, back vice versa. If that was you and that was another person, you've got the joint responsibility and you've got your individual responsibility. If you were fixing theirs and they were fixing yours, things were becoming stagnant. Doing your own side of it means equally you can come to the table with this. And I do think it's something to do with the Taurian energy. Okay, we do because we choose. This is one statement I made to my sister the other day. Through that first and the 7th house, one of the revelations I had was there bitterness of the things that I had to do for other people? And then the revelation of, well, no, not really, I can't be, because I allowed that to be. So when I now make decisions, it's through, obviously there's rules and regulations in life, but there's separateness. There's the time in which you are choosing to do something for somebody when you know you don't have much time, or you know you don't have that capacity and you're doing it. That is a choice. If you have expectations around that, even if the other person has projected onto you, it doesn't mean you had to do that, even if it could turn to shit. Does that make sense? So you're going to have that revelation of the give and take, right? You don't have to do anything. Well, there are things we do have to do, and I'm saying this quite loosely, but where the resistance is the expectation zone. You know, oh, am I reacting correctly? Am I doing this properly? I feel like this is being unwired. You're not stuck. There is a way to do this. A tower does not mean it's your fault, nor that you're good or bad. Good things happen to good and bad people. Bad things happen to good and bad people. It's about how you're going to show up and what the astrology is bringing into your world to create a new chapter for you. This is to bring you full circle, okay? Full circle, worthiness of connections, openness, having the strength, being able to re-find yourself through that process and to be that new chapter. And I do think it's quite exciting and very similar to Tracy's. If you're needing to say something, don't, say it through love and say it through truth, but don't say it based on what you presume another person is thinking or doing. So what do I mean by that? Sometimes if we're wanting to lean in and communicate about things that we feel there is a blockage in, we can lean in accidentally and tend to project what the other person was doing in a factual manner. I hope this is landing. So it's like, you're doing this, And that's why you're doing that. Sometimes we don't know why people are doing things. So in order to kind of break that ice, it's about wording it in a way that is still, it's respectful, it's honoring the fact that you're feeling a certain way, and it's not cupcaking and bubble wrapping a situation that needs addressing. And I think you're trying to navigate a way of doing that. Now, the risk and what I'm feeling in my body when I'm tuning into you is there is a lot of anxiety about a detrimental outcome if you articulate something, and I hope these aren't big words, if you express something in a way that you're going to be punished or there's going to be an adverse tower moment reaction, okay? It's like a balloon. It's like it's blowing up and it's the anxiety and then it's the seals there. And then you're coming to a place that, it can't be blowing up anymore or it could be catastrophic. So it needs to breathe and focus on one thing at a time, because many times it can be, because it gets to that, it ends up being about a lot of things. And sometimes that can be a very healthy thing because we can have revelations about what these things were that were blocking us. Other times it can be super messy. Take it how it lands. But the one message I really get very distinctly is your throat chakras, if you are having issues with your throat chakra at the moment, is because you're not respecting the fact that you are entitled to speak, that you are entitled to be heard. Your feelings are your feelings, and it doesn't matter of the other's circumstance in any shape or form. They're yours, okay? Don't hold the balloon too long. It could get very messy, all that splatter and blow, and especially if it's, it's healing. I don't really know what to say. And if you want to get rid of some of that energy and you feel almost like overstimulated, and that's for any of us at the moment, what I really guide you to do, that light is so irritating me, is breathing in and blowing out anything that has been sort of interfering in your aura, interfering in it. Okay, we're going to change we have research clue. Okay. Have I missed anyone for the super chat? Because if I haven't, okay. Feel free to give me a heads up if I have. So we have research clue. How are you doing, girl? I know your transits and my transits are similar. Placements, I should say. When I looked forward to the energy, I actually had a chat to a friend the other day and I was like, I've looked all the way through to 2037. She goes, why that far? I went, oh, girl. Oh, girl. So, do we have some big energies we're moving into? We do. Is it just for today? No. One of the messages I did get, which is probably going to resonate with you guys, is that many times our charts, especially for particular generations, they're going to be pretty similar. They're going to have certain placements, key placements for the larger, slower moving placements, for instance, which means our energy and what our purpose is, why we are supposed to be here, the direct experience of assimilation we're supposed to have, we were supposed to be here. So when you're saying, like, what was the point of this? I need you to understand we've all been coming to this point. And, for much of the astrology, we are moving into this brand new, like, you effectively, and your choices and your experiences on this planet are effectively going to set the world up for generations. So, it is the responsibility, but it is an experience and it's still your life. And even you as a little star in the cosmos, you can make a ripple. So don't underestimate it. Choices research clue. The yellow chakra, Jupiter and Leo, pressure point, reciprocity, wanting some change. Again, I still keep getting this bloody full card. What's going to 0 degrees? I'm telling you, full card in tarot, 0 degrees. Why do we not like the full card in tarot? Probably at the moment, is because it's like those adrenaline junkies. They're going to be like, hell yeah, let's jump off the cliff. This is going to be great. And I'll be like, oh, I'll be like on my knees, even though I can't get there now. Is because it's 0. It's infinite ways a situation can play out, and that is the very nature of what we're heading into. Infinite ways of how this can go. Leaving the 12th house, bringing over into a new chapter. Pluto's there, setting the tone for new energies, and if we're full of anxiety because of where we've come from, all right. Some of us are more like, can we just move forward? Others of us are like, oh, what's on the other side of this? You know, there was one thing that I've noticed over the last year of communicating, coaching, and reading people's charts. And it was initially this, especially because the nine's were in Pisces, risk aversion. Yet we go back to 2020 and we see a lot of that was out of our control, and we had to bounce back and find different ways of handling a circumstance. So sometimes some of the biggest changes, some of the largest movements and fast kind of transitions can be condensed in a very short space of time. And I do think for some of us that can be a 3 month mark, 3 to 4 months mark, we can achieve these things. So for you, you do have choices. This can be in the Scorpio energy. The number drops down to an 8. It's what has to go, what has to stay. What about my kids? What about my wealth? What about expansion? And you realizing you do have free will, but where to put that, having the confidence to do it. You've had this card before. It's like, I do need to make a choice. And I think a lot of us have been having that lately. It's like, oh, okay. And it might be you're forced to make a choice. It could be that you're forced to address a circumstance and you're feeling you're on the edge of that cliff, having to make that decision. Now, you have gone through so much. And this is the notion, especially in the past position. And it feels like some of it's pulling you back, especially in the retrograde, to review things, relook at things. It could be to do with home, family, parenting, children, how you feel, how you're caring for yourself. Can you maintain a circumstance? Is there a different way to do what you're doing? Are you looking back in an old dream or an old thought about a direction you were going to go and resurrecting it back up again? And there could be that going on. With this, it could be that it's asking you to reflect upon something that you have been carrying for a very long time, that you thought you would put down and come to terms with and you were working with, but it's like the Fool card carrying a building on top of their head and saying, this is doable. Something can be tweaked to bring that balance. Even sometimes we usually get the 3, we get 3 things. We get things coming in 3s. So you get the near miss, the intuition, example factor, and then the tower or the action, okay? When we are listening and when we're getting the signs, and this was another thing I mentioned to the members, many of us are going to feel like we're prepping in a certain area when the problem ends up somewhere else. So sometimes, yes, it does have to be that we wait until we have more information for all energies on the planet involved. For others, it could be we're prematurely prepping in a particular area or addressing a certain area, and then some other shit comes up in another, okay? Where's Venus? I'm getting an interesting energy here. I'm getting a certain hit. Many of us could be focusing on an area that feels value in nature, but also casting a critical eye on our relationships, our contracts, and our partnerships. We have Virgo in, we have Virgo, speak English. We have Venus sitting in the house of Virgo from the 9th, okay? Where's Mars? in Gemini. And they're all Mercury signs, right? We're going to feel we need to be rational. We could have, how could I put it? Almost like we have a revelation about a thing. But it's funny because this night energy that's coming through in the heart space, it's like there could be some other areas we need to focus on, but we could be just honing in on one area. And why is that? Is because Mars pushes our focus and obsession in a particular area. And it has been making a conjunction. So we need to keep an eye on the Mars energy, but also pay attention to the other areas. Sometimes we can be split in many directions, but it could be that you're focusing on one particular area. But the funny thing is the crowning energy has nothing to do with this area. That is going to come up later, they're saying. You could be picking up on something psychically further down the track in the next few months, but at the moment it's asking you to address something from a very separate level, which is going to be challenging for you, because in one way it's like romantic subjects are coming up, but in another way it's saying, but the utmost of importance, they want you to list down on a piece of paper and even include that, but see where there has been an avoidance and an old situation resurfacing. But they're saying it's not that you're not going to have connections, right? It's not that you're not going to have that, but they're saying that's not what the subject matter is cropping up at the moment. That there's something here. And see, you've got it again. You've got something is going to have to be addressed. They're asking you to be realistic with things, be rational, look at the data, look at the information, trust your instincts. Don't, Neptune in its retrograde can be a very positive thing because we have that intuitive hit that we need to address something. It's like push comes shove. Now we're reworking, reevaluating, reassessing, and reworking so that we can move forward with that in a more successful way. The data, paperwork, bookkeeping, finances, information, even your revelations about the areas you're assessing right now. Having the strength to do this, it's going to be bigger. And being very, look at this, it's being very brutally honest with yourself, being realistic. Now, was Rome built in a day? No, but can you do something to get things in order the way you feel fit quickly? Yes. One example, many people will say, I can't do that because of X, Y, and Z. It could be money, it might be time, it might be this or that. Yet when you fall, like in the tower, there's nowhere to go but up, and in a very, very short space of time. So for some of us, yes, it can happen that way, that Ten of Swords energy. In other ways, it's like if you're having the hunch, if you're having the intuition and you want to do the Gemini energy two things, it could be planting some seeds over here while maintaining X, Y, and Z. That still can work. However, I really want you to get that they're saying this stuff, it's almost going to come up very urgently for you. And again, you do have crossroads here. You've got choices. More than likely, because we're going to go into eclipse season, that Aquarian moon is going to bring those subjects up. Some of the key things we're addressing at the moment is getting things in order in a sense of balance and fairness. And it's really interesting, and I will check the degree point of the... It's 21 degrees. Interesting. Let's check. You'll have to check where you have Cancer in your chart. Self-expression, skills, creative is sharing and unique talents. The prima donna. I think divine feminines, especially in career spaces, is going to be something quite large too. And I don't, on this occasion, I really don't want to look at just the Sabian symbol. I did have it open here somewhere. Nope. degree. Okay. 21 degrees Cancer. This can be to do with Jupiter-related experiences, large roads, new places, critical degree. So the Cancer moon, again, in a midway point, especially because we're in a retrograde, we can be particularly dealing with, okay, what direction are we going? What is the paperwork associated to this? What is, are things getting bigger? Is there inflation, etc.? But look to those areas on how to do things to expand and to create harmony and balance. But it could have some professional involved in this circumstance. Okay, we have Dawn. Okay. Let's pick the cards up. What do you want to know, Dawn? Do you have a particular area, or how are you doing, Angela? How's the gardening? We were exchanging information about, a lot of you also pay attention to your plants and trees at the moment. What's Pisces? Especially because we're going to have the eclipse in Pisces and Virgo. It is going to be moving to that 0 degree soon, because we are moving into eclipse season as of August. Going to get the shadow energy of it. And again, okay, the solar eclipse is going to be at 20 degrees. The lunar eclipse in Pisces is going to be 4 degrees. So 4 degrees is the Cancer energy, okay? So again, America will come up. So we are moving past these degrees repetitiously. The 4 degrees at the moment with Uranus, Mars, and Saturn, I believe, it's to do with home. So change, structures. We see it all over the world on social media at the moment. Buildings being broken down, environments. How we're powering our houses, etc. Things to do with women and children, both negative and positive. And the old energy of Jupiter, it was bringing things to the surface. And I have said, one of the predictions, especially with the nodes and the eclipse happening in Pisces, we could see a change in the price of silver. Probably by that time, I'll have to check the exact aspects. But that Pisces eclipse, August 28th, it is a lunar eclipse. Solar can be more kings, queens, etc. Lunar can be the people. So again, huge subjects towards August. Now, it will transition, but it's moved back to move forward. I hope you get what I'm saying. Now, for you, Dawn, let's see. No word from Twin, just wondering, is this the way it's going to be? No, because the nodes are shifting. I did mention this to you and the members, is that, especially for their zodiac sign and for all at the moment, we must move through these nodes and Pisces. So we do run the risk at the moment with the Mercury retrograde of feeling things very deeply, but also seeing it through the lens and the eyes of another person's experience. So for many of us, we're quite frustrated that we haven't got all our crap together and that things haven't turned out the way we wanted to. The most frustrating thing was the nodes moving into Pisces. It's been very healing, but it has felt as though anytime we were trying to achieve something, we were really pushing crap uphill, and things would go wrong. We had to just go with the flow. So, their transitions as well have been quite difficult, and I do feel for them at an individual level, they're really going to have some shake-ups happening and some changes and some final decisions. And I really do find for their energy, for their zodiac sign, how do I put it? Things that you didn't even know were behind the surface and hidden, you both are coming up the same way. This is where they're at. Right? Emotions, old things that you just never saw, feelings and expression and moods. Your side, you're like, I'm trying to work on the monetary side of things. I'm feeling the pressure point. And both of you were trying to harvest at the moment, but what seeds are you planted? So there can be a frustrated energy, like everything you've tried to put your energy into is effectively going through rebirth, but at the same time in your own individual lives, you are extremely frustrated. Yeah, see? Now, can this person get out of things? Yes. It happens on the inside before it happens on the external. You are looking at your hopes and dreams and aspirations. You're like, okay, I feel myself being pulled into the future. And sometimes that can cause anxiety because you feel like your hand might be forced in order to make some decisions. And you're moving out of this. You're like, oh God, I haven't been able to ask for help. I haven't been able to do this or that. But it has kind of, it's almost like you've condensed a lot of doing things yourself and getting things done, I would say in the last 6 months to a year, more so. And now you're kind of at that point, like being honest with yourself, seeing things clearly, getting things in the foundation in order that you hadn't ordered. Does it make sense? And do not feel guilty about that. Every single human being on the planet is going through that. It's like, heck, how did I miss that? I mean, I'm looking at my car and it needs cleaning. I can't do that. It needs cleaning, like paperwork, etc. So we're doing that frequency. You're getting things in order around your home, around work, around your finances, and where you want to go. And it feels super adult in a yucky way. Does that make sense? It's like there's a lot. Now, some things can be coming through the grapevine. People can be coming back. I would say this is going to continue all the way through to the end of the year. It's an opportunity to effectively shift things. Now, on their side, they miss the old version of themselves, but there is a liberation. I'm quite excited for them in a positive way. Okay, towards you. Yeah, they're as disappointed as you are. Right. Their purge is happening behind closed doors. They are showing up as the full card in tarot. I do feel this moon is activating them, and they're really going to have a new sense of value. This is a lot more confident, and this is like not allowing situations that have been cursed or bad luck to define them. It feels as though it's time they're actually confronting those things and finding their own personal truth through it, and being very passionate about it. But I see their energy as this is that transition portal. Does that make sense? Now, on your side, very separately, I don't really, don't stress if you're not seeing them right now. Okay, you're not a punching bag, you're not a solution, etc., etc. Allow them to unpack the cosmic healing that's going through their life so that they can make peace with the past. They can have a new chapter. There could be a huge shift in their home environment. Huge shift. Huge shift. But it's them. It's not, this has nothing to do with the relationship. This is the liberating force that is coming through for them. I hope that makes sense. For you, if you feel there's delays, universe is actually doing that to keep you where you need to be so you don't make an accidental move into something and miss the ship. Does that make sense? Oh, bless. Three-year anniversary. Yeah, look, it is healing though, Dawn. For you, there could be emotions associated to food as well. So just be careful. Don't fall for it. So it can be, you'll notice it though. If it's a pattern that's cropping up, just go, oh, hell no. It's almost like the energy of Taurus. It's like whenever we get a lunation going over Taurus, I'm like, that bloody cookie jar. You want to track a nutritional pattern. I do believe a lot of people are going to change their nutritional eating because we have less Venus in the sky. Most of the long-standing planets aren't really going to be sitting in Venus signs for a bit. So things to do with gyms, things to do with healthy eating and organics. We are going to be moving away from these things. But you know, when we have an overactive sacral chakra, the addictive tendency comes out. So the obsessiveness, the control, the anxiety, the anger, the aggression, and the overindulgence can come up. And you might want to look at where Leo is falling in your chart, because say if it was in a first house, or it's the second house, or the third, even the seventh, there can be weight gain. But it's not that it's bad. For instance, if a person was pregnant, well, yes, effectively it does look like they're growing, because it's that kind of hibernation period and growth period. So it's a natural phenomenon, right? Although I did have a friend that was pregnant and she never looked pregnant. So jealous. Shout out, Debbie. You looked fantastic. She looked like she'd gone to the gym. I don't know how that's possible. Maybe I'm just critical of myself. I was like, your pregnancy? I didn't like it for myself. I had morning sickness the whole time. It was terrible. Maybe have a deeper empathy for those that go through like medical conditions or chemo. I was like, oh Lord, this would be horrible, horrible. Okay, what do we have? You do have the romance card that's just popped out. Leo, oh Lord, okay. Well, they're going to have luck, but what's it going to change? It's going to change their Venusian energy of the relationship sector. How can it show up? It could be a divorce, okay? It may be looking at wanting a more spiritual connection. But it's going to expand. If I had a chat to a friend the other day, it's like, oh, okay, well, it might be that they actually get a job that's interstate, or they get a job that is online, or they start hitting the gym, because you've got the South Node and you've got Jupiter there, and it does the polar opposite. It's about getting fit, building muscle. But, you know, we have to be careful of how it's operating, but it is going to change because it's South Node and Jupiter. So it's going to be a massive change in that department. Okay, so we have Marie. I hope that helps, Dawn. And then Leo next. We do have the next super chat that's on the main page. I'll be going to bed after this. Maybe shower and then, yeah, physio. Yeah. Okay, we got the Magician. What subjects are you dealing with, Marie? Most welcome, Dawn. Messages are fine. Okay, you've got the Magician energy. Okay, do you have a project or something that you're doing behind the scenes that's quite secretive? It's a tactical approach. It could be something to do with business, but you're keeping it behind. There's something happening behind closed doors. Reworking, redoing, creating. Lips are sealed energy. There's a cheeky approach with this here. This I think can be towards a romantic situation, but it feels like I feel positive about it. I don't feel negative. I do feel positive about it. What is this thing? Is it something you have been thinking about doing, but you're not quite sure how it's going to go? And so there's an excitement, but there's an apprehension to do with it. What is this item? Do you understand what I'm referencing here? Venus is coming up soon, and I've got Venus and Scorpio. I'm like, do I just cut my hair off? Shave my head, dear Brittany. To there. I could sell that, but who would want it? It's henna. It's organic. I mean, that would be. I remember being in a hairdresser, and they were like, "Oh, you get 100 these days." I mean, okay, selling your long hair can earn you anywhere from $100 to $1,000. I mean, this is $2,000. This is one person's head of hair there. I've got some bills. Could you imagine? Oh, I'd be able to give it to somebody that really needed it. Okay, change in life circumstances. I am open to love, keeping quiet. Do you have a business idea though? They're taking you somewhere. This is taking you somewhere. You're in the magician energy. There's a pause here. I do feel it's calm. I do think the heart space is you are open. Okay, so you got the magician energy. You're going to have a lot of creative insight. You're going to have a lot of intuitive downloads. Your dream state can be showing you things. Don't tap too much into the negativity. It can be worry and apprehension. You might have got to a space where you let go and you were like, I just don't know what's going to happen. Okay. But in the heart space, it is being open to these things with marriages, contracts, partnerships, connections. And I don't get a negative energy, okay? Thinking a lot, okay, because I feel that there is a reference point of something coming through the grapevine for you that is extremely positive. When you're getting tension spikes, go into breathing, go into detachment. We many times can get very nervous because in one kind of breath we can feel that, oh, legs hurting. We can feel as though there's something negative happening when actually it's signaling excitement. So deciphering between the two, things can be extremely overstimulated. Yes, situations of the past can come back. I do think it's quite positive. And it's almost like the seed of an idea is going to actually be so lucrative, so positive. But I do also feel some opportunities for connections are cropping up. Could you actually end up doing something with a partner or meeting a partner through work? Possibility. Could an old creative project come back and you have a connection through that? Yes. And they're referencing, is there something you needed to end from the past? And I could give you a example, an old contract, an old piece of paperwork, filing divorce paper. Like, is there something old that had not been completed? Because they're referencing that can be something that you're like, it was on the back burner and you're sort of like, well, I really need to address that. It's something that's quite been there for a while because we do have that there, right? And over the next 4 months, I do feel it's something that you're going to come to terms with, that you just need to do it so that you in an energy field can be that singular unit, cleaning you with the clear slate to actually have the door open for new things, because they're saying there's some unfinished business there and it's kind of trapping and blocking some of that. It's not through being cursed or anything. It's just like it's having to lean in and go, I just need to do this. This just it's baggage. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like, oh, it's almost like it's not going to trigger you to address it. It's like I just want to put that on the back burner. I'm adding things to my plate now, so I need to make some room for that. And this is actually going to open doors for you. And they're also saying you don't want to be doing that while you're moving into a connection. You want to be doing it before you do. Does that make sense? Otherwise, you could be starting this process and then be 6 months down the line in a connection and then go, oh, we want to get married. And then it's kind of blocked. Does that make sense? So they're saying, clear that. Now, does it have to be a marriage? No. But there's something old that needs to go so it's not hindering the future. Be it it's a contract, partnership, business. It's old. Okay? It's something old. You're going to get something out of it. Get it ready though. Get it ready because it's going to be big. You're going to have courage. It's going to set you up. And I do see a lot of protection around you and your tribe. But it does feel exciting. As to the other individual that is coming into your world, I do feel they're a very, very different energy now. If this is an old person, it does feel that it's quite positive. It doesn't feel negative. And I do think there's multiple opportunities here. It is going to be a choice, and you're going to pick what you feel fits the new version of you right now. I feel very, very excited for your reading. Very positive. It's almost like where you were stuck, you're just not going to be stuck anymore. Okay, love? I hope that helps. We have Leo next. Are you excited, Leo next? Probably not. Okay, the eclipse is coming into your zodiac sign. Are you excited about that, Leo next? You're like, oh, I don't really want to do that. You're most welcome, love. Okay. So thirsty. Hi there. Cool. I'm glad. I'm glad. It's just about being present. You know what I mean? Now, a lot of the things I referenced at the beginning of the video, if you have 5, go back and have a listen to it based around the Virgo Pisces, the experience I had, because sometimes we move into this transit with a very negative feeling. Okay? You know your energy. We've preached this for eons on this channel. Other astrologers probably have referenced it because you can look at your chakras. You can look at how sun and moon react and how Leos and, Aquarians react to eclipses. Go into it with no expectations and divine trust that you're safe, but don't make rash moves. Allow things to happen, and it's happening for you, not to you. Because your natural instinct is going to be a little bit like Virgo, like, oh no, I need to know the data, control it. Where am I going? Where's the nav man? The thing is, because you are the sun energy, it's going to be very exacerbated because Jupiter's going to be there, the South Node's going to be there, the eclipse is going to be there. So you're going to start picking up on this energy now. Regulating your nervous system, your spiritual values, your belief systems. Do I go into education? Do I go into higher learning? Do I travel? Do I communicate online? Am I finding spiritually that I'm going through that signature? Could this go to marriage? Yes. Okay. How all the pieces come into play, trust the process in that. If you're keeping your vibration authentic and truthful, it's going to be positive. But if you're going to need to understand that your natural instinct is going to be respond in a particular way. Now, the other thing is, where is the North Node going? It's going into Aquarius, and Pluto's there. You're really going to be able to review, and I think some of us, what we do need to have revelations around is the fact that Pluto uncovers things, but it shows what's old. What's old, what's working, what's not. When we are moving into a new chapter, it is very natural within our egos to be very certain about how things are going to happen, and we just don't know. Okay? And we need to go into it like a 0-degree energy of, we are having a new experience. What can this show me? How can I transform inside it? And you had Uranus and Taurus there, so we've done this before. Yes, lots happening around how you see family. Now, the retrograde Mercury is helping you reconnect in with seeing your mother, your home, your insecurities, your childhood, your children in new ways. What's working, what's not, where to let go, where to allow you to actually come out of the inner child and into the kind of more divine frequency. And it is going to create more balance. Okay, there is going to be some balance. There can be some judgments. There can be some lefts and rights. Now, on your side, you could be go, go, go. You've got to be careful not to burn yourself out, because you probably have had a lot of shit on your plate, right? Being pulled in multiple directions during the Mercury retrograde has probably run you a bit frizzled. But the good thing is, it feels like you are having a sense of purpose, okay? Lean into it and look at it from a different angle. I mentioned there's one kind of series I was watching on Netflix, and it's funny because, it's called Another Life. I'll try and find, I believe it's called Another Life, yet when you read it, it's not what it's called. Netflix. Is it Another Life? Another Self, I think it's called. It's called Zaytin Archer, which actually is complete opposite to what that means. It means olive tree. Okay, what is an olive tree? It's making peace. So this came out in 2022, and it is about a bunch of friends, the transition they go through. I actually do find it quite healing because from my awakening, a lot of the reference points they make in this movie, in this miniseries, actually does depict some of the awakening that a lot of people went through, down to the number synchronicities, how we view in, how we deal with things. Looking at the Zaytin Archer, which is the family tree, and that was even further back. I went through that transition, and I had gone to Europe on my own, and I had taken a few books that were quite spiritual in nature to do some internal personal work. And because I was in isolation, I was in another country, it was a very spiritual place. These books that I read, which was what was it called? One was to do with the family tree, and it was the most helpful way of me understanding how the signature of the family had directly impacted me through our DNA, through our nervous system, through our belief systems, and then it's handed down. And so we're breaking kind of lineage patterns, and we are doing that at the moment. It's not that we have to accept that how we were treated was okay, but we need to see what they lived and why their vibration is that way, so that we're not forcing another individual to be different, but we're rather seeing it through different eyes. And I can definitely say that the relationship I now have with my mother, and I had Pluto in the 4th house for a long time, with Pluto in Capricorn, it was like so not fun. Sagittarians, for instance, have had that come up, and that has been quite difficult for them. However, it's been a fast-paced energy that they've had to review that, and it's not Pluto. So when you do look at the lineage pattern, instead of being mad, and the Jupiter and Leo was going to force you to grow and ascend into maybe meet your soul as a child, but as an adult, and to understand it and to not project onto another. It's like I said, it is not saying that it is okay, but it is about letting go and getting that that's their experience. The connection between mum and dad is their experience. And what is your experience, and how are we becoming similar to them and needing to break that cycle? So for you, the insight is very spiritual, okay? It's spiritual. How do we view it? Getting out of the ego, the sun, and wanting to go in a particular direction, anxiety associated to it, and not seeing the height of the clouds as possible. What was I looking for? Oh, that's right. I've already got it up. See? Brain not working. Where is it? There. Now, from the Taurus energy, a lot of things to do with siblings and home, communication, crossfires, re-going over old ground. From the Leo axis, it is your 12th house. Okay, so this is unhashing a lot of shit, but it's where we can feel the fight and flight, that things are changing. We want things to stay the same, but they're not. We know something has to change. So there can be some anxiety about, where am I going to be? Am I in prison, or am I going to be out on the street? Am I my own worst enemy? I need to do things. How can I get everything to come full circle? So how things affected you can almost be a conversation around a dinner table, or an absolute dispute, or feeling like you've got to be quiet. I would say be cautious near the new moon in Cancer. I'd also say there can be some changes that you're coming out of on the after side of it. There also could be a resurgence of things to do with siblings in that area for it to close out and to have a new chapter. Does that make sense? Now, romance only. I'll pull 3 cards. You already know it says. That's so funny. Where am I? Now, from the Taurus axis, I would also say that Scorpio, the Venus retrograde in Scorpio is going to bring a lot of crap to do with your romance up, but especially with the nodes moving, okay? You will notice how the interaction and connections of the give and take are coming up. 1, 2, 3. Deep in your heart, you already know the answer. Do what you feel is correct. Are you feeling like you need to jump and make a decision? It's funny because we have you maybe having an opportunity that is going to throw you, but it is going to mean leaving something behind. Okay. And that can be a little bit scary because, like the Fool card in Tarot, it's like there is going to be some balance. There is going to be a brand new chapter, and it might need you to trust. It might need you to let go. Now, the good thing is Jupiter is going to bring some luck for you as long as your energy is doing things on the up and up. So how can we see Jupiter in astrology? Most recently, during a Mercury retrograde where Jupiter was, we had a lot to do with women and children. Now, even if you look back over the last year, retrogrades and directs, we saw positive things to do with those individuals and negative things. Why is that? Because it does create a balance of what is correct. Justice almost, it's the justice energy, the fairness, the balance. So if we have not been fair or we have not been crossing our T's and dotting our I's, what does it do? It could bring litigation. It could bring judgments. It could bring lawsuits, for instance, and these are examples, they're not legal advice. It could bring new rules or judgments, okay? On the other side, it can bring luck, growth, expansion, opportunities, but the problem is it's going to ask you to break out of your old ways of the South Node and to do the Fool card and Tarot and actually grab those opportunities, and they're going to come hard and quick. But if you don't do it, you're going to be here still. So they're saying you can't stay here in the 12th house trapped. You're going to have to get out of your own way. And it's going to force you. So sometimes it's going to feel really liberating. Other times you're going to be petrified. But it's helping you, bring you opportunities. It's saying every single one of them, providing you show up, is going to give you a golden opportunity. Keeping on the up and up, doing the right thing, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and it can completely transform your wealth. But if you stay stuck, it's going to go backwards, not forwards. So you're going to have to be open to love, connections. The stuck is forcing the change. Okay? The stuck is forcing the change. Opening up, being receptive, changing. I don't see anything negative here. I do see the biggest challenge is going to be having faith in it and knowing that that's what it's here for. I hope that makes sense. Hey, Dale. Any general questions? Super chats are closed, but I can just answer some general questions pertaining to the energy of the transits. Otherwise, I will be doing my clearing. And if you do want to jump on and grab the next super chat, you can take a look at the video. You can click the bell and subscribe, and you'll be notified for that. Also, we do have some slots available for bookings where they fit on the website. All the information is below. And you can get on the list for the membership when it is open. You do need to sign up to it to be notified. And you're quite welcome to sign up to that. So that's directly below time. Yeah, definitely. I think timelines have changed. And we're also, look, we haven't really had an opportunity, anyone. So we haven't had an opportunity to do that. We've had to flow through that Pisces energy. So many people, be it it's in their businesses, it's in their personal life, it's in their health life, it's in their family life. It has felt like we have been stuck. Look, even the Pisces energy can be to do with prisons. So what can we see changing? Things to do with eggs and chicken, things to do with water, things to do with hidden facts, aspirations and dreams, hidden agendas, fish, chickens, eggs, birds, prisons, prison systems, psychology. Yeah. So definitely timeline changes. So the true node moves now. It moves this month, and the mean node next month, which means that they're bringing the energy up, and generally before the eclipses, you're going to feel it anyway. So we're picking that energy up. We're sensing it simultaneously. We're doing that Mercury retrograde, and we're like, oh my God, I'm going backwards. I'm going forwards. Anxiety building, fatigue, wellness with the South Node in Virgo. Many of you can be going through dietary changes or foods not sitting correctly. And look, you know, on the Neptune axis, and because Pisces is going to be there and Mercury retrograde in Cancer, I would say, you know, you always do need to be aware of where those placements are, because it can bring up subjects to do with recalls. It's not that, you know, baby formula, milk, cheese, yogurt, fish, chicken, water subjects, water cleanliness, and how we care for it. So how can you navigate those transits? You can pay attention to those areas like recalls and waiting to purchase those items, reviewing them, seeing what the transformation and changes are. Really going into a detox during those times where you possibly can. It's not saying, hey, avoid everything at all costs. It's saying more, how can I navigate that and do such later? So, you know, doing your research, being aware, and dealing with things. So we could have down the food chain, supply issues to sanitary products, women's products, femme products, baby products, milk, etc., fish, chicken, eggs. What else? Yes, it can be substances, new rules coming down the line about that, as well as things that we drink in the Neptunian way. Could be medication. Again, this is not financial, medical, or other. This is just some ways it can pan out. In the nature of Neptune and Aries, it can be meat. We did see and you know, some of the things that I should be more cautious about in discussing, I generally do bring up in the members, where we can be open-minded and discuss it and take responsibility, but also not allow individuals to take things out of context. Okay, so if that's something that you're interested in, like I said, the link is directly below. You can sign up to it where we can actually have a chat about it. I'm a Leo ascendant, wanted to know about my work situation. When will I start? Oh, hi, Ellie. I would say from a general point of view, I answered your question. Yeah, it's hard. Look, sometimes there can be particular placements that do benefit you. So, you know, we tend to look at the stronger energies of Mars. They can be quite protective. I was looking at some of the degree points. That's quite important. The other thing is, I would say during these retrogrades, it can be a little bit challenging. You know, sometimes it can be happening to us, sometimes it's happening for us. But again, it's going to give the fresh start regardless. Okay. But you know, I have heard a lot of astrologers talking about the ninth house in that way. Some are skimming over it and not noticing it. It's not that Jupiter's not positive. If somebody gets justice, of course it's positive. If there's a transformation because it's necessary, that is positive. It's necessary. But at the time, we don't necessarily see it. Sometimes we can see some really horrible things happening, and then we see a revelation of justice being served for that victim. Does that make sense? And you see that Mars aspect. So we can feel negative, especially because Jupiter in Cancer was making squares. And so it's like, well, where was the positivity in it? We had to have that collective energy in order to have empathy for each other. The other thing is, have you noticed a change in your empathy levels for other people, or are you still viewing it through the eyes of very left or right because of Uranus and Gemini, and feeling very torn? Feeling like you can't articulate the truth of your feelings because you don't trust people, because you feel that some of your truths are polarizing or won't be accepted in a group, or you don't fit in a group. Okay. Yeah. So just be, for those of you that are Leo and Aquarius, just move through the eclipses, take some time, be at home. If you have to work those days, go to work, come back. If you feel something in your heart chakra off, go to the doctors. Don't side swipe that, because it is your heart, it is your heart chakra. So if you feel funky and you're stimulated, be careful of caffeine. Be careful of going to extremes, and your fluid retention and your the build up. You want to pay attention to your wellness. Yeah. So it's a big transition. It's a new chapter. Yeah. And just be yourselves. Honestly, just be yourselves. And I hope that's helped. I will, if my energy permits, because I have been a bit under the weather over the last 6 months. Well, I can't really say bit. I've been having some challenges, but if I can, and I have the frequency, I will come for the new moon in Cancer. Otherwise, I'll try and do a blog post in the future, universe permitting. I can do that. Okay, it'll be new moons, full moons, astrology webinars, but at the moment we're transitioning all of us in that 12th house. So let's just look at it that way. I'll see you all soon.